facebook.com/cashflowdiary live. All right, people. Good morning. How are you doing? Hopefully, you are doing well and are excited for today. For those of you who I haven't met before, hi, my name is Jay, CEO of Cashflow Diary. What we do there is, we create entrepreneurs. We happen to focus on the real estate space, specifically short-term rentals, using the principles of business that are true for every business to help you build sustainable streams of income. What we're doing at this moment, though, is we're going live for the purpose of being able to help our students, our population, and you build the mental mindset, if you will, of what it takes to deal with things that are challenging and or difficult and or get through challenging times, whatever that might look like for each and every one of us. So received some notifications. Some of you are wondering, like, why are you live on this particular channel? Well, we are in the process of building and getting everyone over to our new Facebook page. And for those of you on YouTube, thank you for being here. Those of you who have made the switch, we appreciate it. And if you haven't yet made the switch, by all means, please get over to facebook.com/Cashflow Diary Live. We're trying to help more people. We're just going to be doing it in two places because there are lots of chats that happen in lots of comments that happen in the chat. And we want to make sure that we can serve and help everyone who is participating in some way, shape, or form. We want to make sure that we are there for them, for you. And the only way that we can do that is going from 7, like right now, we tend to live stream to 7 locations. We're trying to take it down to 2. So as we go through this transition, would definitely appreciate it if you just take the time to go to facebook.com/Cashflow Diary Live. Again, if you're finding the information that we've been sharing, like for the previous days, of value, you're going to want to make sure that you do that. So the past couple of days, we've talked about a number of different things, and we're going to continue that trend, if you will, because there's, more to talk about. So hopefully you're in the chat, you're ready to go, and you got your notebook out if you have such a thing. And what we're going to do is to keep it rolling, as they say. Just give me 1 second. I want to change one small thing because I like to have a little background music as we continue this process. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Hopefully that's not too loud for you. That way I can hear it too, and we'll all be working together. Now, let me go back to my notes from yesterday to remember where we left off. There it is. Got it. So yesterday we were talking about the concept, if you will, of a routine. Because typically for most of us, when we there's been a I guess I don't know if it's a joke, I don't know what it is, but I've been marking time as BC and AC, meaning in this case before Corona and after Corona, because there are different ways that we as humans may have been operating before Corona and then after. So BC, if you will, was probably more of a natural thing for you. You didn't really necessarily have a routine, unless you were one of those individuals who tend to be into fitness. The fitness people tend to fall into a routine automatically. Athletes will do this. Musicians often will do this. Routines are something that helps everybody. And as mentioned previously, as someone who has ADHD and autism, routines are mandatory for me to quote unquote level the playing field. That's how I look at it, to make it so that I can compete in the world in a neurotypical background, routines are necessary. We talked about specifically having a routine that you go through in the morning. That is that where you choose something mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, to do. Making sure that your bedtime is consistent, that you've got water in ample supply, and that you are consuming these things because your family is looking for you to still show up, right? Because as stress increases, the things that we humans crave, I crave, are familiarity. Did I say that? Can someone even spell it? Someone type that. Familiarity. You know the word I'm after. Anyway, type that in the chat. I'm curious to see how to... Familiarity? Yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, we like things to be the same, homogeneous, if you will. We don't want them to be different. We don't want the change, but the change has been thrust upon all of us, and we have, therefore, a new choice to make. And that's what it comes down to, is that we, you, me, us, all of us, are being presented with a new choice every day, right? Because what was normal for you is not happening anymore. In fact, for those of you who are still going to work and have your jobs, and that's great, even that is still different, right? Because I'll say your route to work probably changed, right? Because for those of you who are in the essential positions and still driving to work and having to do those things, A, thank you. B, your route to work changed because traffic is different, right? That was a disruption to what was normal. It's probably, I don't know if it's easier or harder to go to lunch now, or maybe now you're bringing lunch to work. There's still a disruption to everybody's routine, what was their normal. And now we are being we have the choice to take control of it. So what I wanted to share today, among many, many things, so much more to go, is a way to perceive progress or perceive your ability to actually make a difference and or a new scorecard, for lack of a better way of putting it. Because maybe the scorecard before was, I don't know, a revenue number, or maybe it was, I went to the gym 5 times this week, and you can't quite do that, and you've got to find a new way to win the day, if that makes sense. So you got to find a new way to win the day. And what does that mean? What does that look like? And in the same way that we've mentioned previously, you and I, we get to choose how to win. We get to choose that. It's not a choice that's made for us, but it's a choice that we get to make. And indeed, we should make. We should make the choice, because if we don't make the choice, then society decides. But exercising the agency, that's the word I'm after. Exercising the agency to go and make that choice is what we should be doing in order to make sure that we win. So I'm going to share with you some ideas around how to win, because winning the day is going to matter, especially in the face of adversity, especially in the face of things that are unfamiliar, especially in the face of things that you do not enjoy. You know, because that's really what it comes down to, is if you don't, take control of it, you run the risk, to be honest, of just falling downhill fast. Thays, thank you for typing I still can't say it, but I see the word. Thank you for typing it. It is not... I don't know why that familiar. I can say familiar, but the rest of it gets confusing. Anyway, so I'm going to share with you some ideas on how to begin to build something that becomes familiar, something that you can do, something that becomes easy, and if you've been watching or paying attention, that's what we've been doing. That's why we started with just simply going to bed at a certain time. Like, for those of, in fact, here's a good one. For those of you who did that, who are doing this or moving at the speed of instruction, type in the chat. I'm curious, what time did you decide that you're going to bed every day? Like, you get to make the choice, and I'm curious to know, what time did you decide that, hey, I'm going to bed? What time was that? I want to know what that was. And what time did you decide to get up? Because that's the other thing. Making a new normal, constructing it, as opposed to waiting for it to naturally happen, is going to make all the difference. All right, so what does that mean here? It means when we're trying to win the day, well, it's like any other sport. You got to define the rules and how to keep score, right? So what I want to share with you is a number of techniques that I use to gauge whether or not we're winning or losing or making progress, etc. Because without these, I don't know, and then it's left up to chance. It's left up to something outside of my control to decide. Here's why this is important. Back in 2008, when my wife and I were experiencing very challenging times, and it felt like we were the only one experiencing challenging times that time, I had to come up with systems that allowed me to feel like I was winning, even though we were facing foreclosures and evictions and squatting in bank-owned property, and she was struggling to eat and drink, and I had the punctured lung, and all the stuff that you've heard. When all of that's in your face every day and it's unavoidable, you can't run from it. How do you keep moving forward? What techniques are there to help you keep believing, keep pushing, and keep making progress? Well, for me, I just call it simply winning the day. And in order to win anything, I have to understand the rules and how to keep score. So let me see. Hold on. It's not connected. I'm like, why did that not come up? Hold on a second. Let me bring up the screen here so that you can see it too. 1, 2. There it goes. All right. So how can you win the day given all of the circumstances that we, quote unquote, are facing together, right? Win the day. Day 3. That's where we are right now. All right. Well, one of the techniques that I like to use is, in order to win the day, and when I'm defining, okay, first of all, you got to, define, and we'll talk about planning the day, okay? Because that's where you're setting the rules. Right now, what I'm really talking about is keeping score. One of the techniques that I prefer to use is still my favorite, even to this day. I have my most productive days when focused on, it's a technique, it's called the Pomodoro technique. I did not invent it. I just discovered it when I needed it, and I like using it because using the Pomodoro technique has allowed me to recover when it feels like you're not making progress, when it feels like you're not getting stuff done, when it feels like the world is conspiring against you, and you're just still trying to move forward. So what does that mean? That means, what is it? The Pomodoro technique, it's a way of dividing time such that you have times where you're, quote unquote, on, and then you have times where you're off. You're on, then you're off. You're on, then off, in a very predictable fashion. This is very, very important, especially for those of you who just transitioned, say, from a work environment where you were working around a whole bunch of other people, and now you're in a home environment, and you've got to find a way to discipline yourself to still get the same things done, because the same things still need to be done, but now you've got to do them in the midst of, well, let's just call it what it is, chaos and distraction, because your home was never designed. You didn't design your home with, I'm going to have to work home for months at a time. You didn't do that. And even if you did, you didn't do so with thinking, and the kids are going to be there. That was not your plan, but that is now your reality. So how can you do it? How can you manage to divide your time in such a way that you still feel like a good parent, but you also still get the job done, right? And how can you communicate that to your children who don't really understand when is it okay to bother mom now, or do I wait, and how does this work? So the Pomodoro technique tends to solve a lot of this, because it makes it really, really easy for everybody to know what's so, right? Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can't find because I believe there is a page on the internet where the creator or someone associated with the creator actually, Pomodoro technique, did it, because I would rather explain it and describe it. Well, we could use Wikipedia, I guess. There it is. And there we go. So I guess in fact, it looks like I can see why they're having lots more trainings going on for a lot of reasons. But ultimately, this is how it works, right? What you're seeing right here. You choose, first of all, you have to choose a task. We'll talk about planning that on another day, but choosing a task, and you set a timer. So in this particular case, set the Pomodoro for 25 minutes. We're going to talk about that 25-minute time frame in just a moment. And then you work on that task for 25 minutes, and then you stop. And this is part of the, I guess that for those of you who find yourself on social media and you keep clicking and you keep watching the next video and you keep clicking the next like, all that type of stuff, they're doing, those sites are designed to help us receive little shots of dopamine, if you will, and being able to then do step number 4, putting that same check mark, checking something as done. Got it? Will help you, me, us do that same thing. So you then put that check mark there. Then you take a short break, typically defined as 5 minutes. So then after the 5-minute break, you pick another task or continue the existing task, especially if it wasn't done, because maybe you didn't get it done in 25 minutes. This is not a sitcom. Some tasks take longer. Then you repeat that. You repeat that cycle 4 times. So 25 on, 5 off, 25 on, 5 off, 25 on, 5 off, 25 on. And then on this time, when you go to the off, you take a longer break. So let me write that out for you. Where'd it go? Boom. It looks like this. You do 25 minutes on, and then you do 5 minutes off. 25 minutes on, and then 5 minutes off. 25 minutes on, and then do 5 minutes off. And then you do 25 minutes on. And this is the break. This session, this break right here is a longer one, right? Oftentimes could easily be, we'll call it a 20, 30 minutes off, but more likely closer to 20. Anyway, you can play with these times. I tend to not play with the break time. The break time is the break time, if that makes sense. I tend to play with the focus time, because if you have attention deficits of any kind and you have challenges with that, trying to stay focused on one thing for 25 minutes can feel like a monumental task. At least it does for me. So I had to learn to experiment with that. And in actuality, I tend to work in 15-minute shifts. 15 on, I'll do 15 and 5, because I can do 15 and 5 and stay focused. Because what you don't want to get distracted during your 25-minute shifts at all. You want to be able to count on you to stay disciplined during that 15 or during your on shifts, when you're on the 25 or you're on the 15, to no distractions, right? And I like 15 and 5 for a number of reasons. One, like I said before, with ADHD, one, I can get distracted, but also it interrupts me getting into a state of hyper focus to where hours can go by before I've even noticed that I've been sitting down, haven't eaten, all of the things. So 15 and 5, it safeguards both sides of the of those types of things, which is great. And you can blow through a lot of projects this way because, one, I know my body, my brain knows worst case scenarios, I'm only going to be here for 15 more minutes and then I get to take a break. Now, what's also difficult is that during the break times, at least difficult for me, during those 5-minute breaks, you can do whatever you want so long as it's not related to work. That gets really hard, believe it or not. How can I do something you're intentionally disciplining your mind to turn off, right? So you did, and you can use, I like to use additional audio cues, like a ticking watch sound, if you will. So it's going tick, 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 tick. I know some of you that'll drive you nuts. I got it. But I like to use those audio cues as well. So between the audio cues and the clock and the countdown, what happens is the same thing that happens when an athlete gets on the court. Because when the athlete gets on the court, there's a clock, right? And they know exactly what the score is. They can glance at it. They know. They got to run the play, i.e. the task, right? And then at some point during the game, a lot of games, there's a timeout, right? And in this case, they know how long the timeouts last. And when the timeout is over, it's back on the court so that we can keep winning. Objectives not done. Season isn't over. And we can do that same thing. And that's how I tend to interpret and look at this, is that I get to play a game. I get to score points. I get to configure my world around this. This also helps as a dad, because now I also know, hear me here, I like this one. I can always tell my kids, not now, right? And they learn, hey, the longest they have to wait is 15 minutes. All right, you can wait, whatever it is, it can wait 15 minutes, right? Please, honey, yes, you know what I'm saying? 15 minutes, that's all I need. I just need you to wait 15 minutes, it'll be over. And then during that 5 minutes, I can go tend to what they, to whatever it is that was important to them, because it is important and I want them to know that. So it allows a balance to where I can be on and off, on and off. And then if you really, really want to go to the next level with this stuff, as many of you guys know, there are all kinds of lights and things that change color and whatnot. So it makes it really easy for the kids to see, red light, that means dad's working. Green light, come on in, that type of thing. So that light goes on for 15 minutes and goes off for 5. They know exactly what's up. And it creates a clear, easy communication system so that everybody knows what's so, and it makes life way more functional, if you will. Which then comes down to, and if you've done the math, you realize, but Jay, that's only 50, 100 minutes of working. True. And one of the decisions when you're planning your day, and again, we're going to talk about that we're talking about this first because we got to use these pieces in order to plan the day. But one of the decisions you make in the morning, okay, after looking at your calendar is the stuff that you are absolutely doing. It was already there. It's happening. Now you get to look, all right, in your white spaces when you're time blocking and figuring things out, you'll be able to go, okay, so that means today I have time for, maybe it's 4, maybe it's 8, maybe it's 12, but you decide the number of Pomodoros you're going to get done. Pomodoros you're going to get done. And one of the things that I think you'll learn or see about yourself, because this has been true for me, is it often won't take you anywhere near as long to get the job done that you needed to do anyway. It won't take you anywhere near as long to get it done. things that you thought were going to take longer because you're working in a 25 and 5, or again 15 and 5. That's what I prefer to do. You'll see that your capacity for getting things done is you'll get more done. You'll just be focused because during that 25 minutes on, the distractions are off. And when the distractions are off, and it's only off for a tiny little bit at a time, it's not enough time for FOMO to set in. You're not missing out on anything, right? And you can still talk to your kids. You can still go catch up if you want to go catch up on the news. I don't necessarily recommend that one, but if that's your thing, go watch a YouTube video, then come back. 25 and 5, 25 and 5, 25 and 5. Take your long break, do it again, take a lunch, do it 2 more times. You call that a day, and I think you'll find that you'll get way more done. This is one way to keep score so that you can, quote unquote, win the day. This technique is what I use to make sure that today, did I win today? I don't win every day, but did I win today, right? And it's an easy way in the midst of bad news, in the midst of feeling overwhelmed, in the midst of, you can make it simple for you to win because you defined it, right? So long as I get 4 Pomodoros today in, no matter whatever else happens, if I can just get 4 Pomodoros in today, it's great. Now, yeah, that may only be 100 minutes of actual work time, but you can give yourself the permission to call that a success. And then you're in the process, you're on the way to winning the day. The next thing that comes up is, obviously the time is divided in more than just days, right? Well, here's the good news. So hear me clearly. In order to win the week, you only have to win, remember, we're talking about a game, a score. You only have to go 4 and 3. What does that mean? Win 4, lose 3. That is a winning record. So out of the 7 days in the week, you only have to win 4 of them, meaning 3 of them you can absolutely lose any way you'd like. So you don't have to be perfect, but shoot for 4 and 3, which then falls into, how do you win the month? Well, you only need to go 3 and 1 or 3 and 2, depending on how many weeks are in the month. Some months have the 5 weeks, as you know. So you only have to go 3 and 1. What does that mean? That means win 3 of the weeks and totally lose 1 week in and of itself. Makes it easier for you and I to deal with our human inconsistencies. And I think this one's going to be important for a lot of us this year. How do you win 2020? How? Well, there are 12 months in the year. You just need to go 7 and 5. 7 and 5. What does that mean? That means 7 of the months, okay? 7 of the months is where you win. So let's pretend that right now, okay, this being, what is this, April? So let's pretend that right now, January and February went decently for you. And then March, chaos. April, chaos. Right? You get where I'm going. So if January and February went well, then that was, what was that? That you got 2 in the win column. And then let's write off March. So that's 1 in the loss column. Let's write off April. That's another in the loss column. And let's pretend the next 3 months, even after April, are also losses. You're still okay, because you can still win the year. We have to go 7 and 5. 7 and 5. So by beginning to build yourself so you can then build your family, your business, your friends, you can show up. This concept is almost everything, right? Go 7 and 5. Got it. The season isn't over yet. right? The season isn't over yet. It's a 12-game season if you think about it that way. And right now, many of us, we're 2-1. April is still being written. It's 2-1. It's not too late. Maybe you can find a way to pivot and switch and make April a win. It's simple, but it starts with understanding the how to win the day, because you win a season by winning all of the smaller components consistently, right? And you stack those together, and that's how we do it, right? That's how a team wins the championship. They don't just show up to the championship game. They showed up to practice, which is what you could call this. They showed up to practice. But in order to show up to practice consistently, they probably put themselves to bed at a certain time. They probably also focused on making sure that they got enough sleep. They were, doing the whole water thing. They probably had more nutrition. They had a number of things that were inputs that helped them produce the output. And what you and I, as knowledge workers, as humans, as individuals who are seeking and experiencing and redefining normal, what's familiar, we need to do the same thing. Because when you are in a position and want to and are ready to show up and train for your business the same way that athletes train for their sport, when you show up that way, you can get athlete style results. You want the gold medal? Great. Very simple. Gold medal. That's going to be an even greater than 7. Instead of going 7-5, that person might go 11-1. That's fine. But you don't have to get the gold medal to win the year. You just got to go 7-5. To win the month, like I said, 3-1. To win the day, you get to define what the win is. So understand, you get to define the smallest building block of what win looks like. And maybe win is only 4 Pomodoros a day. That's fine. You won. If that's going to be your definition, fine. Do that 3 days in a row, 4 days in out of the 7. You won the week. You won. It's your success metrics, right? Not mine. No one else can give them to you. Okay? Yours. But when you take that control and make that definition happen, what I have found is that when individuals do this, we get a little excited about doing the check marks and getting more points, and we tend to win more than we lose. And then we get excited because we get connected to the visions that we've created. We get connected to that feeling of winning. Everyone likes winning. No one, but I learned more from the losing. But everyone likes winning. And we like that feeling, which is great. And something that we can control, right? Now, I know we haven't talked about the overarching goal setting. We haven't talked about planning the day. I got you. We will get there. But these basic building blocks of doing, making sure you're going to bed, doing the consuming more water, and then defining or that routine that you're going to go through to get ready for the day. The routine that you're going to go through mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. What is that? And then understanding how to plan the day requires an understanding of the Pomodoro technique, which is why we took the time to share that with you today. And next, we're going to talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow. Wow. We're going to talk about the ideal week, if you will, because one of the things that makes it easier to know when you're winning and when you're not is, like I said a couple days ago, is living closer to your values and planning a week to go a certain way. And the closer and closer you get to it, the more you know that you're living closer to those ideal values, which ultimately creates happiness. Notice, it has nothing to do with the dollar amounts that you earn. It has nothing to do with, that's irrelevant. What is relevant is, are you living close to your values? And if so, great. You're probably in a very good state of happiness. and then learning to maintain that despite what swirls around you is a skill, and that's what you're building. Hopefully that's why you're showing up. Hopefully that's why you're sharing this, please. Yes. Hopefully for those of you on YouTube, that's why you keep hitting the subscribe button. Yes, I'm supposed to say that one too. And then for those of you watching on Facebook, by all means, please make your way over to facebook.com/Cashflow Diary Live. Okay. Yesterday we were intending on not being in any of our other locations today, because that's what I said. And we are finding that some people need more time to go from where you're finding us to being able to find us, because we no longer want to be going to 7 different locations. I want to get it down to 2. It'll be easier for us to deliver and for you to participate in the comments. So in the little bit of time that we've got left, I'm gonna scroll through the comments that I can see. And see, this is part of the part that's, not so fun, is that I know I'm not seeing all the comments. I know YouTube people, I can see all your comments. Thank you. That is never an issue. It's the Facebook and being in so many different places, the way Facebook handles this live streaming stuff, that can make it a bit of a challenge. So what I am going to do is I'm gonna see whatever comments I can see. If there's a question in there, I'm just gonna make sure that we're good. So Joyce says, hello Ozzy, what is this? What's up? Been a long time, great to see you here and hear your voice again. God bless you. Thank you, Ozzy. How are you? I don't know if you're still up in, why did I think you were in City of Commerce or something? I don't know where you are. I don't even know. Are you still in California, bro? What's up? So this is good. Shannon's excited about winning the day for sure, because yeah, it works. What is this? Oh, okay, here it is. What does it say? What do you do during the break time so your 5 minutes truly becomes a 5-minute break? Yes, good point, Shannon. And I repeat, during the 5-minute break, you can do whatever you want so long as it's not work. So the one thing I've had to learn to do is to physically get up. Period. It starts there. If I don't get up and leave whatever behind, I'm in trouble. Some days it's not only get up, but it's also leave the phone or the tablet behind as well, depending on what it is, right? Often and occasionally it's even not only get up, leave the phone and tablet behind, but also leave the room, leave the environment in which I was working. Just leave it, because otherwise, it's easy to get right back in to whatever work mode was, right? I know all about that, all about it. So I'm sharing that with you for sure, because yeah, sometimes, Shannon, that's the only way it's going to happen, is to get up and leave it, right? And sometimes some days it's just not that bad. Maybe I'm not working on something that's terribly interesting, right? And it's easier on the 5-minute breaks. But yeah, there have been so many times where I have a whistle that goes off. So basically when I'm working, it's like a ticking sound, and it's a whistle. It's like that factory whistle, or if you will, when the whistle goes off and it's time for a break. I more than once have ended up working straight through the break. And I'm like, dang, nabbit, I did it again. But that's why you got to learn to just get up. And exercising these disciplines and being able to turn your brain, quote unquote, on and then turn it off does allow you to be present. It gives you the freedom to be present with whatever it is that you're currently doing. So let me see what else. Anthony, hey Anthony, on YouTube that time. How are you? It says good. What is this? It says, Melanie, I appreciate you taking your time to share this. Nope, you're welcome. Melanie, and thank you for being on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button. And for those of you on YouTube, there's not much more for you to do there, because we will be here again tomorrow and again and again and again as we continue through April. At least through April. For those of you on Facebook, you're going to want to make your way over to facebook.com/Cashflow Diary Live. If you are absolutely must be on Facebook, don't want to go on YouTube, please go to that URL so that you don't start missing some of the live streams that we'll be doing. And then I think I see one more. Pedro. Sorry, man. I will always do my best with the names. Please forgive me if I mess them up. Thank you so much for doing this. It's very inspiring. Pedro, you are quite welcome. I guess one of the things that I believe to be true is that oftentimes when we have go through an adversity, whatever kind, it often is also preparing us for the next one. And sometimes the ones that we go through it's preparing us for the next one, but we also, because we overcame something that was difficult, I think, I don't know, we have a responsibility to help someone else, right? There are things that you know how to do, Pedro, that I do not. And there are probably people who would benefit from learning from you as well. And because of the way today works, today's technology, etc., there are no barriers to entry. There's no barriers to entry. We just have to be willing to serve another human being. And I think that's a great thing. And it's also an awesome responsibility, which is why I've been scared of trying to go live for 30 days and telling people, I'm telling you guys that this is what we're going to do, and then showing up and doing it for 30 days, because it means so many things in terms of my own discipline and schedule and showing up. Because in the same things I'm telling you, I gotta do them too, to make sure that I can even make it here by 8 a.m. and I'm on Pacific time, so I've got to be, yeah, it's a good challenge and it's an awesome feeling. I thank you for watching. Share it with a friend. Please hit that subscribe and like, because that's how YouTube works. YouTube, subscribe and like so that more people can see it. That would be great. All right. And then, I see one more. Sorry. We need to get a better way for me to see these comments. Walter says, thanks. Very helpful. You're welcome, Walter. It's what I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you getting up. I appreciate you tuning in, if you will. Because why do we still say tuning in? Because that doesn't even make any sense. We're not tuning in. We just clicking. Is it clicking in? Tapping in? I don't know. Whatever. You get the idea. My point is simple, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are on this rock together. We are spinning around the sun together. And as we continue to spin, as we continue to go through this all together, we're going to need to be there to help each other. And for those who are going to be in a position to help, we need to be trained. We need to be ready. And the only way that we can be ready is if we have created that stable environment for ourselves. It's not going to happen naturally for any of us. And so start now, because as it gets worse, it's likely going to get worse before it gets better. And as it gets worse, those who have begun their training exercises, if you will be in a better position to help other people. And that's you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun talking to you this morning. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.